Well, greetings, Cap fans. Welcome to episode 223 of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast. Hey, I'm Rick Verbanis, and I'm your host, and I've got a co-host. His name is Bob Lucius. Oh, Bob. I smells carrots a cooking, and where there's carrots, there's rabbits.
Is that Yosemite Sam or something?
It
What
is
is that?
Yosemite
Yeah.
Sam.
What is that? Oh, Sam. Nice.
Did the light bulb just go off, Bob?
It's just flickering a little. It's just a little bit of flicker there.
All right.
All right.
Why do I greet you with the Yosemite Sam quote?
Well, I'm assuming because we're going to do a Sam Wilson story tonight. Would that be
And
correct?
I was running out of Sam. Yes. I think I did the green eggs and ham Sam I am
You
quote
did. You
at
did.
some point
Yeah.
previously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but also the quote that I did ties in a little bit with the story we're
A
covering
little
today.
bit. Yeah. Yeah.
A little bit.
A little
A little bit.
Yeah. Very little
Little
tiny
bit.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that was from the 1951 short Rabbit Every Monday.
Ah,
Were you a big Looney Tunes fan?
I was. I really did enjoy the Looney Tunes as a kid. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you ever you know, be driving with somebody and said, "Oh, you should have taken that left at Albuquerque."
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and people are like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
yeah. Oh, I gotta tell you, Yosemite Sam had some great quotes. I turned down a lot of quotes to go with the rabbit one.
Yeah.
But he would say, "Great horny toads, I'm up north. Gotta burn my boots. They touch Yankee soil."
Gosh darn it. They don't make them like that anymore, Rick.
They really don't, right?
Yeah. I think they're actively prevented from making them that way anymore. But,
Yeah, here's one.
uh,
Great horny toads. I must have dug clean through to Chiney.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Uh,
Ugh, good stuff.
yeah. Darn tootin'. Bob,
Yes.
how you been? How you doing? How you doing with that big cold front down in Florida?
Oof, woof. It is. We're bundled up down here, my friend. It is. It's in the mid to upper low mid 50s, and it's
The mid
chilly.
to upper low mid?
It's chilly. You know, we got the puffy coats and the scarps and the hats. Yeah, it's we're hanging on. That's all I
Yeah.
can say.
I see you're just wearing a t-shirt though.
Well, I am wearing a t-shirt. Yes, we did turn off the AC for the last few nights, but it's chilly when the cats are like, yeah, I don't really want to go out. You know, we have a screened-in
Uh-huh.
lanai. That's what they call it. That's a fancy
Uh-huh.
word for patio. And we got a little pool out there, and it's screened in. And I installed a little cat door and that we leave
Okay.
open, and they go out all night long. They're out on the lanai, enjoying the nature sounds. But when it's cold, like 50s for them, they're like, nah, nah.
Nah.
So when I wake up and there's like three cats in bed, then I know it's cold outside, or there's a bobcat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I gotta tell you, here in New Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
uh, today the high was freezing. The high was 32 today.
Yeah. Oh, balmy.
Yes.
Yeah.
The high was freezing.
Nice.
Tomorrow, the high will be 29.
You do not want to forget your chapstick.
Uh, yeah, I don't do
You know.
chapstick.
Oh,
In fact, I go to
like those
my
rough
my
lips. All
mother-in-law's,
right.
and she's wonderful. Her and her husband, they do stockings for everybody, the
Uh-huh.
grown adults,
Oh yeah.
the grandkids, everybody gets a stocking. I get a
Yeah.
stocking, and every year
Yeah.
I get a chapstick, and every year I just put it next to the other chapstick.
Because you're now, do your my in-laws do the exact same thing,
Yeah.
but we often we're like, oh look, a can of corn. That's thank you.
Ew.
There's all
No.
kinds of like stuff over
No.
there. Oh yeah, there's like, oh wow, that expired last month. Sort of.
They're cleaning out their wardrobe.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. Oh look, there's like some off-brand candy,
Uh-huh.
heart candy or something like that. It's
It's,
funny.
it's like Christmas Vacation where the aunt comes and she puts some Jello with some cat food.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah,
things everybody loves. So
yeah. Oh, that's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Um, Bob, I gotta tell you, I'm a little excited because, as I mentioned last episode, we kicked off our new home of our patrons. And if anyone is interested, they can go to buymeacoffee.com
Hmm.
/cap comic fans. And you can check it out to see what it's all about. But I'll tell you right now, it is, you could just make a one time donation, or if you want to be a member, we have a couple of different levels there. And you get perks for being a member. And it's all explained there. I'm not going to take everybody through it now. But this is the point where I do want to say thank you to those who are supporting us as members. And one of the things I like to do, Bob, I want to mention them by name. And considering that we have less than 20, which I think is a good start,
It's a good
uh,
trade. Great start. Yeah.
yeah, I think we can go through those, and then every episode I'll announce the new ones. What do you think?
Yeah. That sounds great. I think that's a great idea.
Okay, well, I am going to start with the super soldiers. Okay, so these are all at the super soldier level, and there was only 10 that we're doing. Like once we hit 10, we're done. And so the following signed up to be super soldiers: Mark Domeyer, Steve Rogers, Tom Boyd, James Foley, Chet Cox, Nate Charles, Matthew Glover, and Aaron Paul. And then we did get a new super soldier. This is somebody who did not. Everybody I just mentioned have been longtime supporters of the show, and they've come back. But we do have a new supporter who is a super soldier, and it is Alberto Gonzalez.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So
Yes.
you may recall Alberto was on the show at one point.
Right.
We did a what we called a art captivated, and did you get that, Bob?
I did. I did get. Thank you for the
Okay.
pause. Thanks for that brief, ever so brief pause
You're
there.
welcome. And that was episode 156, where Alberto, who also is known as my art nemesis, came on the show to talk about all his very cool Captain America art. So thank you to all of the super soldiers that joined, and then we also have another level called the Shield Slinger level, and. Oh, by the way, if you were doing the math at home, that was 9 super soldiers. So we do have space for one more. And then our shield slingers, we have, and these are all supporters who have come back. So Grant Ball, Brett Beisel, Ash Barnes, Seth Howards, Tom Ratcliffe, David Bird, and Devin Berghorst. And then actually somebody who supported us, went away, and is now back is also James Grogan. So nice to have everyone I just mentioned back in the fold. So thank you for that. And then we have a new shield slinger, someone who is new to it, and it is Mark Stegbauer.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, very familiar with Mark's work.
Yeah, in fact, you're so familiar that in our anniversary issue, I sent you a Mark Stegbauer Nick Fury.
You did. It's on proud display on my bookshelf as well.
Yep. And it's cool because people when they sign up, they can also post a message, and so that's there for everybody to see. And what Mark wrote was, "Can't wait to start listening to this cool podcast." So Mark actually is new to listening, and That's really cool. So not only is he new to listening, he said, I'm going to support this podcast."
That's
How
great.
cool is that?
Yeah, that is awesome, and he does. Mark does great work as well. He does great work for. Obviously, he's an artist. He contributes, comic books, but he does a lot of charitable work
Hmm.
for the local food bank in his community, but also for the Alzheimer's Association. So he's a great guy.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really excited that Mark is become a member, and everyone else who is joining. And we couldn't do this without you. This has been a show that we really rely upon our supporters to help us pay for all our expenses, and so thank you to everybody. And if you want to check it out, just go to buymeacoffee.com/cap comic fans, and you can see what the perks are for becoming a member yourself.
Rick, I've been meaning to ask you. The happy holidays. New Year's is in our rearview mirror now a little bit.
Uh-huh.
How's the weight loss journey going?
Oh, that's so thoughtful of you, Bob.
Yeah,
I'm doing okay. I've
yeah,
been pretty religious since January 2nd of going into the app and logging all of my calories.
yeah.
So it's paying off. It's paying
Is
off.
it?
I've lost a
Yeah.
few pounds. Yeah,
All right, all
I've
right.
lost a few pounds. Um, I am also doing a dry January,
Right.
dry-ish,
Dryish. Yeah.
meaning
Dry
um,
light. Dry light. Yeah.
the only alcohol I'm doing in January is a couple of beers while watching the Eagles play.
Uh huh.
Other than that, it's a dry January.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
I have a goal, and trying to lose 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to fit into those T-shirts you got me, Bob.
I understand completely. I told you I'm trying to lose a little weightage as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually well tonight I blew it. I went out to dinner with the in-laws after my son's basketball game and had an eggplant parm. So
Mm.
that's going to show up tomorrow. But I've shifted my intermittent fasting. So I
Okay.
think I told you I was doing like a 12-hour fast daily, right? Which doesn't sound like a lot. It's like 6:30 I eat dinner and then I don't eat again until 6:30. So now I've pushed it to 10 in the morning. That's when I have my
Oh,
breakfast.
have you seen a difference?
I've lost 11 pounds.
And that's the only thing you've done is just
That's
shit.
it.
Wow.
Yeah. So my brother-in-law, who has been doing this for I don't know 6 months or so, and lost a bunch of weight, uh, told me like, oh yeah, you should extend the hours a little bit, and I said. I'll give it a try, right? So, I mean, obviously, I'm going to have to do some other stuff too. My goal is when I go back from the cruise. This is embarrassing. So I'm normally around 206. When I got
Uh-huh.
back from the cruise, I was 215.
Ooh, wowzers.
Yes.
Wowzers.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm surprised the
Thank
boat didn't.
God thank God
Excuse
the
me. We need you to move to the other side of the ship, right, to balance things out, sort of thing. And so, oh, I gotta listen because I want to be 195.
uh-huh.
So I don't know. I'm gonna, see how this works out. It
All
hasn't been
right.
as hard as I thought it would be.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we eat so late because Meg doesn't get home from work until like 6:30, and then there's
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
a lot of times we're not eating dinner until 8 o'clock.
yeah. That's hard.
And
Yeah,
yeah, and then of course I might have a little snack after, you know.
snackage. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
right.
try to be healthy. I try to eat like butterless popcorn or something like that,
Right, right.
which is
Yeah,
not a bad snack. But
yeah. It's mostly empty
anyway, we're
calories
just
anyway.
making our
Yeah,
listeners hungry, so we should
yeah, yeah. You have to
probably move on.
feed them the stuff they want.
I like that.
Nice.
We're covering today Sam Wilson, Captain America #1. This came out January 1st, and so we gave everybody a couple of weeks to get the comic, and then now we're going to go through it. There's two stories. There's a main story, and then there's a short story afterwards. We're going to do the main story because we want people to still pick up the comic, and but we also thought by giving people a taste of this that maybe whet their appetite. I keep going with the man. I must be hungry, and they will, go pick up issue 2 and 3, 4, and all the rest. So, anyway, yeah, we'll be covering Sam Wilson, Captain America #1 today. Now, before you do that, I do recommend checking out episode 214. That's when we had the writers on to talk about this series. And so Greg Pak and Evan Narcisse. And it was a really good interview hearing from the two of them and some of their thought process behind the pitch, behind the series, how it is, how involved is the Marvel universe, cinematic universe, with the new movie coming out February 14th. How is it going to be different from that? So there's all that, but then there's just some really cool stories behind the stories too. And like how they came up with the cousin character and a couple other things. So for example, and well, we'll just get right into it, right? So the creators we mentioned, the Greg and Evan, the penciler is Eder Messias. Now, Eder is from Brazil, and here's an interesting story. Bob, you might recall this: is that when Alana Smith, the editor, had sent Eder, information about this story, he's like, well, Red Wing, the hawk. I always thought Red Wing was a falcon, but apparently Red Wing's a hawk.
Yeah.
Um, can you send me some, some images or something like that, so I can get this down right? And she did, and it turns out that the hawk is a Brazilian hawk, and Eder's like, oh, I know this bird very well. And so no one's going to draw Red Wing more accurately than this artist. But anyway, cool stories like
Yeah.
that Greg and Narcisse shared.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting because like how long's Red Wing been around? Right. And
Right.
like who's had that conversation before about what kind of bird is that? Right.
It's a Brazilian hawk, apparently.
Yeah. So you heard it here first here, folks.
I heard it here first, too. in episode
That's the
one,
sort of
214.
that's the sort of hard hitting journalism, right,
Yeah.
Rick? That we're known for.
All right, Bob, you want to take the listeners through the cover? And by the way, your cover is probably different from mine. I got this
Oh,
variant cover because it was sold out in the store when I
yeah.
went to pick up my comics, and
I,
I got this one instead.
I did get cover A, and it's a great cover. It's got Sam Wilson, Captain America in all his glory, just zooming across the cover from left to right with his and he's got this sort of great posture, right, where his back is perfectly straight and he's looking up as if looking up toward the angels, and that's great because I think this story is better angels. So he's looking up in that direction as if he sees the angels, and he's got his shield in his right arm, and it's that great new Sam Wilson shield with the blue, the silver, and the red concentric circles, and the two triangles inverted against each other in place of the star. But what's really cool about this cover is it's also got a Red Hulk on the cover, and it's in the background behind Sam Wilson, and he looks angry. That you'd expect that from any Hulk, but certainly the Red Hulk looks absolutely angry, and he's snarling at Sam. And then even further in the background, we see these floating, well, I don't know if they're cities or platforms. We'll find out as we get into the story, but they're floating in the background high up in the sky. But there's also a great banner across the bottom of the cover page. And it's got Elijah Bradley, Patriot, front and center in that banner, and he's got his shield. And then we see Storm, and we see Rhodey, War Machine as well. So there's a lot going on this cover, and of course Falcon. is on the cover as well, just as you described him as a Brazilian hawk. So I'm super excited to get into this story.
Thanks for taking us through that, Bob. The artist for this one is Taryn Clark. I'm not familiar with that name, so this may be one of the first ones I've seen by Taryn.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and finish off who the creators are of this particular one. So, um, the color artist is Fuentes Sujo. Letterer is Joe Caramagna, another guest on the show. And the editor is Alana Smith. And we're actually going to have Alana back on the show here in the near future.
Should we start? Should we start referring to these creative, the talent as alumni of the show?
Ah, I
I think
like
that
that.
sounds kind of fun, you know.
Yeah. Here's some alumni creators. All right. So we open it up, and it is it's not a splash page. It's multiple panels, and it takes place in Harlem, and it looks like it's dusk, and there are people who are waiting outside a soup kitchen, and so this is the Uptown Mercy Mutual Aid, and what we're looking at is a line of mostly men who are waiting to get their meal. Soup's on, friends and neighbors. I was hoping for the peas and rice. We got that too, Benny. Come on now, it's time to eat. Yes, it certainly is. And you look up in the sky, what do we see, Bob?
Oh my gosh, it's vampires, Rick.
Yeah, and these are not like a Dracula type vampire.
No,
They're dressed in some weird garb.
yeah, it's like armored vampires, right? There's not like capes.
Yeah, they look like they're part of a some sort of like team of some sort. So
Yeah,
they're essentially bats that are flying in the sky, and then they turn into their human selves, and they start attacking the line of people. And the man who was in charge, who was letting everybody into the soup kitchen, is held up by the appears to be maybe the leader of these vampires. Hold up now. You don't know what kind of trouble you're getting into. And he's got a smile on his face. Like
yeah.
he's got a vampire with fangs out inches from his throat, and he's smiling. What are you talking about? You're nobodies. No one cares about you. I don't know, man. And you turn the page. I think Sam Wilson does. And we see Sam Wilson as Captain America flying down and kicking away that vampire. And he's got a big smile on his face, and he holds his shield up. And along with him is Red Wing, and it looks like I don't know, are they pigeons?
I don't know. He's got a flock of birds, which is great, right? Because the flock they had a flock of bats, and now there's a flock of fight.
And then we get to the credits page, and it looks like it's the silhouette of the Captain America from your cover, and then the Captain America logo. And at the top, I'll go ahead and read what the opening says. Once a social worker in Harlem, Sam Wilson's life changed forever when he gained high tech wings and the ability to communicate with birds. It changed again when he inherited the mantle of Captain America from Steve Rogers. Though he turned away from the shield for a time to find his own path, now he's fighting the good fight once again as Captain America. And we turn the page, and it's multiple panels of fights going on with Sam taking out a lot of the vampires. He's throwing his shield. Captain America, eh? Even better. Your super soldier blood must be delicious. And they charge at him. Sorry to disappoint. And he throws the shield, ricocheting off a bunch of them. But I'm just a regular dude. Social worker, actually. But I do have good friends. And then you see all the birds going at the vampires. And there's Steve Rogers there in uniform. You sure do. And then next thing you know, they turn back into bats and start to fly away. And the crowd yells at them and cheers as they fly away. And the proprietor comes back up and puts his hand on Sam's shoulder. I'm telling you, Sam Wilson used to be down here slinging soup with me before he got those wings. Oh, thanks for the backup, Steve. Ah, got the alert. Figured I'd swing by, but you sure didn't need me. Hey, I actually have the day off for once. You want to grab some breakfast or. Oh, I got to pick up my cousin Billy for a thing with some folks. No sweat. I wouldn't want to intrude. No, no, no. You'd be more than welcome. And then we turn the page, and what do we see, Bob?
Oh my goodness. It's like there's some sort of like park or something, and there's a big cookout going on with a big group of superheroes, but very special superheroes, right, Rick? Because these are all well-known Marvel black superheroes.
Yeah, well, I don't know about well known. There's a few here I can't place, but certainly a lot of them. And uh, you want to name them?
Yeah, so let's see. We've got Blue Marvel, right? And we've got Riri Ironheart, Riri Williams Ironheart. We've got Blade, and we got Luke Cage and Rhodey. James Rhodey's there. Miles Morales. We've got Doctor Voodoo and Elijah Bradley. Storm's there. We got Cloak, and then there's the Protector, a guy by the name of Isaac Akeda. And then Spectrum is there as well. So
Wait, who's the protector?
the sort of the guy with the purple
Yeah,
hair,
but who is he?
Isaac Akeda. He's from
Never heard of him.
Agents of Atlas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, relatively new. I think 2020, 2019, somewhere around there when that series came out. And then Misty, of course, Misty Knight.
And Sam says, but it might be a little more than you can handle. And then this is where we get introduced to Sam's cousin, Billy. Samuel Jonah Wilson, you couldn't tell us we were coming to a dang superhero cookout? And ruin the surprise, Billy? Not my middle name either. I mean, your girl Misty, Spider-Man, and the Luke Cage on the grill? Now, Bob, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Um, there are two sets of American flags flying. One of them looks different than the other. Do you have
Yeah.
any idea
I
what's going
I
on there?
I don't. I don't know. You're right. One of them it looks like the standard coloring, red, white, and blue, and one of them looks different. At least in my copy, it's colored where the field of stars is sort of green, and it's more of a muted black and red coloring to the stars and bars. I
Yeah.
mean the stripes.
And then we turn the page, and it we see Steve and Sam up on the front porch of the house, and Billy is about to go in the front door, and walking up is Misty. Go on, Billy. Wait, why are we going inside? I want to talk to Storm. Yeah, babe, you can't get between a black woman and Storm. Misty, you don't know Billy. I don't need her trying to sell Aurora on her licensed sun hat scheme. You think I just plunge right into, oh, oh my, Captain Bradley? Now what do we see, Bob?
Oh my goodness. So this is like what, a 3/4 splash here. And they open the door, they go into the parlor of this room, and we see none other than Isaiah Bradley sitting in an easy chair, and his wife. I think his wife's name is maybe Faith. And then his grandson Elijah is also there at his side, and Rhodey's there as well. And but on the wall behind him is his shield from World War II, the Victory Shield,
Mm-hmm.
and his uniform is hanging on the wall as well.
And Steve Rogers gives him
Oh, he pops
a,
off.
yeah, he gives a salute. And Elijah gives him a salute back.
Right. Yeah.
Now, Elijah, let's just take a pause here for a second. So, Elijah Bradley, for those who maybe not be very familiar with him, was introduced in a series called The Truth, which was a comic miniseries that came out, oh gosh, I don't know, 20 some years ago,
Yeah.
that introduced a collection of black soldiers that went through the super soldier serum. And in an effort to recreate the super soldier serum after it was lost, after Steve Rogers. And, it didn't go well in many cases. And what is left here with Elijah is he he is mute, does not speak, and it's remains to be seen uh, how much of his intellect he has left as well. And Billy goes on, "Oh my God, it's really him." Yes, it is, and he needs to rest a bit. Is he? Is he okay? And then, who walks up
James Rhodey.
in his War Machine outfit with his mask up so you can see his face? He's the only survivor of the first round of secret World War II super soldier experiments, and he was imprisoned for years by his own country. So I don't know about okay. And this fool is here too? That's Lieutenant Colonel Fool to you, Wilhelmina Wilson. Been a long time since we flew together. You good? Right now? I'm shook, Rhodey. It's not every day you meet the first black Captain America. And they bring up a cake with a whole lot of candles on fire.
Yeah.
Probably looks a lot like your cake, Bob.
It does, actually. I was thinking that.
And then this next panel is pretty cool because you see the wall that is up there that has a whole bunch of pictures of Elijah with various celebrities over the decades. And this was something that was in the last issue of the Truth miniseries that was really interesting. And also, um, Evan Narcisse talks about this in the interview when we had him on the show, how important that was to him, and as you can see, he made sure to bring it up in this particular story.
Absolutely. And I don't know if they recreated it or if this is the actual, it looks
Mm.
very much like the actual art from that last issue of Truth.
Yeah, and if anybody hasn't read the Truth, or it's been a while since you have, because it did come out in 2003. We covered it in two different episodes. So, part one, we covered it in episode 33, part two, and 34. So, you could check those out. Yeah, that was, gosh, 3+ years ago that we recorded those.
Yeah, you're definitely going to want to check out those episodes before you go see the new Captain America movie. So,
Yeah. And then we cut back to the last panel, which has all those pictures on the wall. And we see Rhodey talking with Billy and Sam, but up comes walking Elijah, who is the grandson of Isaiah Bradley. Well, now you can meet the latest in that legacy, too. This is Elijah, Isaiah's grandson. I've been helping him ease back into the hero game. It's Patriot when I'm wearing the mask. Nice to meet you, miss. Oh, my lord. Another Stars and Stripes dude? How many more of you are out there? Well, Sam looks off panel and he says, at least one. And they're looking at a picture. And Isaiah says, Josiah. And his wife says, haven't seen Josiah in a while, love. I don't know if he's coming. But look at these nice folks who made it. And it's all the ones that you mentioned before that were out in the cookout. They're now all in the room, ready to wish him a happy birthday and probably sing a really horrible song. Do you like it when people
I hate
sing
it.
you happy?
I hate
Yeah,
it. It happened on the cruise,
yeah,
in the dining room. So it wasn't just my table. People are swinging. and I'm like
That's right. You
sink,
mentioned that. Yeah.
sinking into my chair. I don't like it at all.
Well, that's because you don't like being center of attention. But
Right.
just the song itself is just. I mean, listen. It's not. I don't have a problem singing the song or whatever. But sing it a little peppier. Like it's not "Happy Birthday to you." It's just
Right.
just put a little pep into it.
Put it
It
on
sounds like a
78,
funeral march.
78 revolutions per minute. Happy
Yeah.
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. That sort of thing. Right.
Yeah.
Just get
Yeah.
it over with fast. That's what I'm all about.
Or you could be like me and really want a Paul McCartney. They say it's your birthday. Because
There
I
you
know how
go.
much you love him.
Yeah.
Um, and then out on the porch, we got Sam and Steve, and they're chatting. Birds seem a little unsettled. Yeah, they get like this sometimes. No matter how nice things look, there's always something weird happening out there. And then he's petting Redwing. You seem a little unsettled yourself, Steve. What's on your mind? Just thinking about how lucky I've had it. And why? I mean, look at Isaiah, wrecked by that first experiment, and his clone son, Josiah, imprisoned after serving overseas. Lots of people deserve better from this country, for sure. And and then Billy comes up. That's what I wanted to. I really don't think Storm wants to do the hats, cuz. Not that thing, another thing. Thing I wanted to talk to you about all day before you distracted me with all your superhero buddies. Okay, sorry. You remember how Gramps couldn't get any federal loans for his farm? Of course. Bunch of black farmers lost everything. Government eventually settled, but it's been trying to make things right, but well, that's where we come in. This company, Eagle Star, is launching a land grant program to make good on all that. And she shows him a kind of like a I don't know, is that a
Looks like
iPad?
a little iPad,
Yeah.
little pad thing.
Dropped your name when I applied, and they said I'd be a shoo-in if my big cuz agreed to be a spokeshero. What? No. You can't just sign me up for stuff, Billy. Oh, you're going to be like that, huh? You haven't even seen the stuff Eagle Star wants to do. Organic farming, carbon capture tech, pollution mitigation in urban communities. And I could get a piece of that. Something for me for once. Ugh. You're always off saving the world, Billy. What about the people on this old world? Little guys like me never get the chance to fly. You're the exception, Sam. And then we hear Rhodey. Wait, did you say Eagle Star? Sure did, ear machine. You always button in on my family business? I'm going to let that slide. I had run ins with Eagle Star a while back when they were still a paramilitary outfit. Nasty stuff. They've got a new CEO and are doing some kind of pivot, but there's a history there. Just letting you all know. Okay, but if they're really trying to be better, it's going to take people like me and Captain America's to help hold them to account. And she says America's, C-U-Z. So it's not America's like plural, it's America's. And Misty puts her arm around, this might be something, Sam. Misty. Okay, if Sam won't do it, how about you, Rhodey? Or Minicap? Or am I going to have to start working Steve over there into a guilt trip? And Steve's like, oh my God. And then a little alarm goes off. Rhodey says, heads up. Power core and Hydra satellites about to go critical. Captain Marvel and T'Challa en route. And Aurora, Storm, speaks up. We don't. Aurora, come on now. Oh no, you need to figure out what's going on with this Eagle Star situation one way or another. And spend some more time with your family. Right. Ha, you tell him, Miss Storm. Aurora's right, you know. You never know how much time you have with the people you care about. All right then. Just one request. Anything, Americas, please don't call me that. So we cut to the next page, and it's in New Mexico, and there is they're getting out of a car, and it's Sam and Billy, and Red Wings flying around. You sure this is the right place? Trust him, Sam. And then what happens, Bob? Who's coming? Who's coming in?
I don't know, but it's a big air car and it goes whoosh, and appears right before him.
Yeah, there's kind of like this round circle that is flat, that is hovering, and they're coming down from the sky. And there's a man dressed in a business suit with long hair. And then looks like a couple bodyguards there. They're dressed in kind of military outfits. There he is, just like I said, Dennis Harmon, richest man in the Southwest. Well, hello, Bobby. Billy. That makes Sam chuckle. And you must be Sam. Come aboard. Let me show you around. I can't tell you how happy I am that you've decided to join us. Oh, I'm just here to look for now. But I don't see much to look at. Well, that's because you've got your eyes on the ground, like everyone else on the planet. It's time to set our sights higher. And they go off into the sky. And that's an interesting observation. You have your eyes on the ground like everyone else on the planet. I can't tell you how many times I've noticed that. It's because everybody has their head down looking at their phones, right? How many
Yeah.
people put their heads and look up? Very
Yeah.
little.
I think it's also interesting that Billy identifies him as the richest man in the Southwest. What is
Yeah, it
that?
is. Yeah.
Richest
Maybe
man
that's
in the
because probably how
world.
he introduces himself, right? Like, because he can't be the richest one in the United States, so he's the Southwest.
Southwest. Yeah. The mid central Southwest.
You and your mid stuff. You do that. Your mid lower back to mid stuff. But
To misdirect.
yeah,
Yeah.
coming from the man who's no longer in his mid decade.
I'm in my mid late middle 50s. Yeah, that's where I'm at.
And the next page, oh my goodness, Bob. One big giant splash. What do we got here?
This is awesome. It's like a floating city. Like one of the like almost like the little platform they just rode down and met Billy and Sam with, except it's gigantic and it has buildings and green space and all sorts of things going on here on this floating city platform.
And embrace the sky dream. Well, dang. 6,400 acres of available land on a network of 12 floating platforms with living space for 1,000 families and the finest technological support the planet has to offer. And this is just the beginning. This looks like Wakanda tech, doesn't it, though? Meet Dr. Gwendolyn Kazna, our Chief Technological Officer, formerly of Hikima Shul in Wakanda. Formerly, my great grandfather was stationed in the United States as a spy, but I had always dreamed of sharing Wakanda science with the less fortunate in this country. And I bet Eagle Star paid pretty well, am I right? Ahem. If you have any questions about the technology powering this facility, I would be happy to. Ah, and here's Robert Maverick, our head of security. We've met. Now, who is Robert Maverick, Bob?
Well, I know that he was introduced in Avengers No Surrender, but I'm not familiar with his background, Rick.
Yeah, so I wasn't either because I don't read. I didn't read Avengers Volume 6, which came out 10 years ago,
Yeah.
2015, and then I didn't read the U.S. Avengers #1, which came out in 2017.
Is that the
And
one with Sam on the cover?
well, that's one. Well, U.S. Avengers #1 had like
Oh, it had the 50
50
state.
to 50 states.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so yeah, I think I was the sucker who bought Delaware, right? So
Yeah.
I don't remember who I got. Squirrel Girl, who knows?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I didn't read any of that. So I'm not familiar with this character at all, but that's where he was introduced. Good to see you again, Sam. Still got that plug in that lets you Hulk out, General? That fight with Banner wrecked it, but Eagle Star sorted me out pretty well. Excuse me, ma'am, if you'll just put your arms out for a moment. This is some bull. I mean, I'm the one who brought Sam here. I know this guy, cuz. He put his life on the line for me and my teammates. He's all right. Must have cost you a lot to get him to give up that rank and go private, Harmon. Well, everybody certainly gets paid. We also offer a very generous medical package for unusual conditions. But maybe he actually gives a damn about people, Sam. Speaking of which, and they go on a tour, and they're in the farms. Let's see who this is really all about. The farmers. 10% are disabled veterans, as per our deal with Maverick. Another 40% are folks pardoned for convictions under obsolete and racist war on drug policies. And and then someone notices. Well, look at that. Captain America. They said you were coming. Just checking things out, brother. Sounded too good to be true, but here you are. Oh man, you know it. So is this working for you? My Annie's a lawyer. She went over everything before I signed. They really gave us 40 acres and a mule. And then it's a robot mule. But Bob, what is that a reference to?
Well, Rick, after the Civil War, General I think it was Tecumseh Sherman, in some orders he issued down in the southeast of the United States, promised 40 acres and a mule to the recently freed slaves who were now citizens. And so this refers to that. It frequently comes up in discussions of reparations because that was never fulfilled by the United States. And so, the quest goes on.
Yep. And so that is what Eagle, what is it? Eagle Share?
Eagle
Eagle
Star.
Eagle Star. That's right, Eagle Star. So that's what Eagle Star is offering here. Looks good, doesn't it, Sam? And if you sign on, I get my own piece. You on board? Look, they haven't even told me what they want me to. And then Red Wing flies in and is upset, Bob.
Cream.
What's up? I don't know. Red Wing's just annoyed. Not enough mice and rabbits in these fields. See how it all came full circle there, Bob, with the rabbits?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. But the Finches, they say they're lost. Fantastic. That's exactly what we need. We knew something was wrong, but couldn't figure it out. Something's wrong? Yes, we've had several flocks of agitated birds over the last month. I think it may be connected with our comm towers. We've blocked all outside wireless contact for security reasons, but that could be interfering with the bird's navigational.
Scream.
Everybody down! And what happened, Bob, on the next page?
Well, there are some very large dinosaur-looking birds, petrosaurs or something like that. Something you might
Pterodactyls, maybe?
pterodactyls, but something you'd see out of Land of the Lost or something.
Oh, that show used to give me the creeps, man.
I love that show.
When you were a kid, did that not spook you?
I don't know if it spooked me.
Those silent little
the sleaze stacks.
Yeah, that didn't give you nightmares.
No, Chaka gave me more nightmares than the sleaze stack. That guy was freaky.
Oh yeah. So they start attacking,
Chaka
and and Sam goes up and he flies up in the air with his shield. Don't worry, y'all. Sam's got this. And he just goes through and knocks out one of them, and it blows up. And then another one starts firing like I don't know, machine gun bullets from their
Bada,
mouths,
bada, 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 bada. Yeah, it's like firing like machine gun fire out of its gaping maw.
and 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 Sam puts up his shield and
Pating,
ricochet,
pating, pating.
and then he goes and he blows up the other two, and everybody's cheering. And then Mr. Harmon comes out and starts laughing. Yes, amazing. Tell me this isn't a partnership made in heaven. I mean, down to the branding, Eagle Star, and the Falcon. It's Captain America now, actually. Right, right. All in defense of what America's really about. Just one weird thing, and he goes through the wreckage of these dinosaurs. Looks like Eagle Star tech in this drone. What the hell?
All right, hold on,
S-
hold on. Why
yeah.
does the Eagle Star logo look exactly like the chest logo of the super soldier uniform for Captain America, for Steve Rogers?
Oh, that's a good catch. I knew it looked familiar.
Yeah, right. It jumps right out. Very odd.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. I mean, maybe Steve and Sam can sue.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sam, can I call you Sam? No. Okay, I get it. Mr. Maverick. And he pulls out his iPad. Please accept my apologies. It turns out you should have scanned Mr. Wilson too. What? It appears that we've let a Sam Wilson life model decoy into our headquarters, Mr. Maverick. What? The Sam Wilson I fought beside is a good man. Only the worst traitors would use his face and the flag to infiltrate what we're building here. And he starts to hulk out. He's turning into the Red Hulk. Wait, General, this isn't. But that's fine. And you turn the page, and the last page of this story, big giant splash page, and it's a humongous Red Hulk smashing down on Sam's shield. I'm always happy to smash a traitor. To be continued.
Dang.
Now I mentioned there's a another short story in here.
It's like what, 3 or 4 pages?
Yeah, like 6 pages. Yeah,
6 pages. Okay.
another. It's a backup story that kind of gets into Sam's grandfather and everything like that. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, I was a little confused
Okay.
because I've established that I didn't read that Avengers Volume 6 or the USA Avengers, so I wasn't aware of this character
Mm-hmm.
of Robert Maverick, and I had just assumed that General Thunderbolt Ross was still the Red Hulk, um,
Yeah.
and so I was surprised to see this.
Guy even looks like Thaddeus,
Yeah, right.
right? Yeah, he's a spitting image.
Yeah. So confusing.
Yeah.
Um, but then but I think you get up to speed pretty quickly
Mm-hmm.
that he's been around, that he's had some history with Sam Wilson and the Avengers, and they fought alongside each other. So, um, but it looks like he got tricked here at the end, and it almost looked like he was being triggered into the Red Hulk almost against his will.
Right. Yeah. I got that sense as well that happened. That escalated way too fast.
Yeah.
Right. Because he's like a retired general. Uh, he's used to like evaluating the situation. He didn't even like take the time to evaluate the situation. It just happened as if it was triggered.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was when Harmon had pulled out his little iPad doohickey thing. So, all right, initial thoughts on this opening chapter to this new story.
All right. Well, one, just a couple observations. One, vampires. There
Mm.
seems to be a big thing in Marvel recently with vampires.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Although, even going back to, I think it was 2015, the all new Captain America series, Sam Wilson had Baron Blood, dealt with vampires, but there's been recently a lot of vampires in Marvel comics. So surprising. but not surprising that this story kicks off with some vampires. But I mean, it really didn't have, it's just a sort of a throwaway piece to introduce the characters and get the story rolling. So, uh, you know, I could take that or leave it. But I was really, really excited about the cookout and about Isaiah Bradley and seeing these black superheroes. And I know some folks will complain, but I think it's cool. I think it's cool to see all these black superheroes and having a cookout, because I know cookouts are, it's as a cultural thing. It's really important in the black community, just as it is in the white community, but it has its own cultural meaning. And there to celebrate Isaiah's birthday. And then we get into the story. And the thing is, we didn't read the second backup story, and it's an important piece of this story arc, I think, because it provides some context. It's briefly mentioned in the story that we covered about Sam Wilson's grandfather and how he lost his farm. The backup story basically just tells more detail about that. But this is real world history. And so the whole story about Eagle Star and these floating cities and the 40 acres and a mule is really grounded in real world stuff. So I'm really interested to see how this progresses and this tension that develops, because Sam is a social worker. He's aware of this history, and there has to be some, at least there was some initial interest in, like, is this really a fulfillment of that promise? And now it's gone south with this Red Hulk, bearing
Mm-hmm.
down on him. So it's got me intrigued. It was a little bit of a slow start for me, but I am excited about issue 2 to see where this story goes.
Yeah, all good points. It makes me think about the conversation we had with Greg and Evan. They both actually brought up the fact that, and you brought up a cultural thing, right? They talked about cultures inside cultures,
Yeah,
and so they talked about the importance of having multiple black people because there then you don't have the stereotypes, right?
yeah,
And so you mentioned Sam being a social worker, right? Like that's a completely different background than say James Rhodes, who is a military man,
right.
right? And so
Yeah,
they're going to look at things differently, and they're
yeah,
going to approach things differently. And I know Greg and Evan talked about how that's going to play itself out. They also talked about how having different patriotic type of black heroes and how each of them are also going to approach things a little bit differently.
yeah,
Um, so that's the kind of like the cultural within the culture issue that is being brought up here. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out as well.
yeah. So I mean, I thought the art was it was good, it was great. I enjoyed it. It accentuated the story. Um, and again, I'm excited to see where this goes. I think it's an interest. It's like this great promise, right? How can this be bad? Well, clearly it's going to end up bad. We just don't know yet how what the ultimate grand scheme is.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. It wasn't a slow burn, right? It wasn't like here's this thing that's probably what's the old expression of it's too good to be true, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
here is this pie in the sky, pun intended, type of thing, and it we didn't wait until 2 3 issues from now to find out that it actually is bad, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just came out,
Let's get to it. Right.
yeah, let's just get to it, because that's not the impetus behind the story, right?
Yeah.
They want to get more into Sam and so on. So, and it's cool that Steve was there too.
Hmm.
And am happy to see that. I do find it interesting that this is also part of the legacy numbering.
Right.
So if you are a collector who's like, I want to get every issue of the Captain America series, this is legacy number 767.
That's a big number. If you haven't started, start now.
Bob, maybe one day we'll reach that, huh? Our podcast. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe, and folks will have to. Those completionists will have to listen to every one.
It's funny. I've actually heard some listeners state that they found us years into our podcast, and they were like, "Well, I got to start at number one," and they go
Right.
start number one, and they binge through them and eventually get caught up. And there's plenty of people who are not caught up. So when they're listening to this, this series has been out and over for years now.
You know what we should do? We should, at some point along the way, you should replace me with somebody who looks like me, whose name is Bob. Like they did for Bewitched. And
Oh
they
yeah, the
swapped
different
out the
Darren.
Darrens, and they didn't make any fuss about it at all. They didn't
Yeah,
even,
just
yeah,
one
yeah,
day. Yeah.
just one day, see if anyone notices. Probably
I would notice,
not.
Bob, and I know all of our listeners would. Every single one of our listeners would. Um, so, all right. Anything else we want to talk about? Oh yeah, I go first.
You do, yeah.
Yeah.
So you got favorite panel. What's up?
So my favorite panel is the one where all the superheroes are in front of Isaiah and to ready to wish him a happy birthday. Uh, I just think it's nice because as a Isaiah Bradley fan, I like seeing the respect that he's being paid. I mean, all of these characters gave up their personal time to come pay respect to this legend, and so I think there's some significance by this page. So that's my favorite.
All right, that's a good. That you actually stole mine. So
Oh, that's also your favorite?
that was also my favorite. I love it, and I love the fact that they hung his shield on the wall and his uniform.
Well,
That is a nice
hold on
nod.
now. Are we talking about the same one? Because I'm talking about this one. You want
Oh
to?
no! All right, we're
So you
talking
could still
about a
have
different one.
yours.
All
Yeah.
right, yeah.
You're 2 pages
Oh,
before me.
okay, yeah. Then that's the one that I. That's the one I thought maybe I was off by one page here when I counted, but yeah, absolutely. Then it would be page, which is it, page 7?
I'm counting
Nine,
the
eight.
credits page as a page.
Oh, okay. So I think it's page 7 then if you're
Yeah.
on page
Mm-hmm.
9. Right. And that is the one where we see Isaiah in his easy chair with his wife Faith and his grandson beside him. And then we see his shield and his tattered uniform hanging on the
Mm-hmm.
wall behind him, along with all those framed photos that you had mentioned were in the final issue of Truth, Red, White, and Black. So and he's got a wonderful look on his face. And as you pointed out in your cover of the story, Steve Rogers pops off a salute in respect to Isaiah, and Isaiah returns that salute as well. So yes, he may have some cognitive issues. He may be mute, but he's certainly enough there to know how to return a salute in respect to a fellow soldier. So I love this panel for all the same reasons that you said as well. It's a respect to a great character. One that I hope we see more of.
Is that an expression in the military? Pop off a
It
salute.
is, yeah, it is. Pop
Hmm.
off a salute because you're like pop
Gotcha.
it
All
off.
right.
Yeah,
All
there
right.
you
I
go.
like it. All right. What are you putting on a t-shirt, Bob?
I think I'm going to have to do that. Let's see, page 1, 2. That second page, that splash of Sam landing foot first in the vampire's chest.
All right. I almost went for that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I love that. He's like coming down with a smile on his face and a foot for the vampire's torso. So I could go with that. I could rock that shirt.
Okay. I don't know if you could rock it, but yeah.
And yourself?
Uh, so go 2 pages after that, and it's the top where the vampires all turn into bats and fly away.
Oh, right.
And you see Sam and Steve in uniform back to back with their shields
Yeah.
up.
Very nice.
That's a cool one.
That is a cool one.
Seeing the two of them together in uniform like that with shields up, I think that would look good right across the chest, right
That
there.
never gets old. I love to see the two of them, with
Yeah.
their shields in their Captain America uniforms. It's
Yeah.
it's a great look. So, what do you got for your time capsule?
Oh, well, Bob, I'm going to have to go with, uh, that page that you said was your favorite page. Well, the next page at the bottom is all those pictures on the wall. And you see Isaiah with various celebrities and politicians, famous people from different decades. And so I think to me, that belongs in the time capsule.
I love that too. Yeah, it's fun to look at those photos and try to figure out who the individuals are. Like you said, it's Isaiah with all these well-known politicians and athletes and celebrities. It's cool, very
Yep.
cool. Good choice.
What's going on in your time capsule?
Rick, I mean, I struggled with this one. The easy one for me was to talk about the historical context of the 40 mules, 40 acres and a mule, and what actually Billy was talking about when she was talking about the fact that Black farmers were disenfranchised from USDA agricultural loans. Something, by the way, that I should point out, the USDA has currently been trying to rectify. It was part of that Inflation Reduction Act in 2022 had a big $2 billion lump sum in there to help make payouts to farmers, Black farmers in particular, but all farmers that had for some reason been disenfranchised from the USDA farm loan program and had lost their farms as a result. So, but that's not what I'm going with. I'm going with the top of that very page that you just cited, because there's still, I think, a little bit of wiggle room, and I'm not sure what the authors are trying to do here. So, in this particular panel at the top of the page, Rhodey says he's the only survivor of the first round of secret World War II super soldier experiments. So there has been a lot of confusion, and Marvel hasn't done much to clear this up about whether or not the round of experiments that involved Isaiah Bradley and Canfield and Evans and the other Black soldiers occurred in the effort to perfect the super soldier serum before the first super soldier was created, or in an effort to recreate the serum after the death of Erskine. Now, we know in Truth, the series that we covered on the podcast, that these soldiers didn't, or I should say, Bradley didn't even enter the army until 1942. That was very clearly made the case. And in fact, in the story, he's reading a Captain America comic book, and it talks about how this comic book had come out a year earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd only been in the service a couple months at this point. But there had been a number of books, including the Crew series, which featured Josiah Bradley, Isaiah's son and Elijah's father. And I think there had been some passages along the way by Elijah himself that have suggested that Isaiah was part of the experiments before Steve Rogers. And so I don't know. It even seems in this book they're still muddying the waters a little bit, and maybe it's not important, but maybe at some point in this series they're finally going to make that case one way or the other and clear up what the timeline is. Anyway, that's what I hope.
Yeah. Well, you bring up excellent points. I will say that there has been a lot of confusion, and you bring up, some specific things that should point to a clear answer to help clear it up for people. But
Right. But
maybe the story
there's
will.
retcons, right?
Yeah,
And things get retconned all the time,
it's true.
and they often make the stories richer. So they may be trying to retcon this, and honestly, six of one, half dozen the other. There's advantages and disadvantages to both, but I do hope that at some point they really lock it down.
Yeah. I'm gonna take a stance here, Bob. I am hoping that it is comes out the way that we think it would in truth, which is that they were trying to recreate the super soldier serum after
Mm-hmm.
Steve became Captain America,
Right.
because I still want Steve Rogers to be the first Captain America,
Right.
and so I don't want anything to retcon that.
Yeah. And I do think it's pretty clear in Truth that even though they call the Doctor Reinstein, he ain't the original, right? Rhinestein was a code name for Erskine. At least
Mm-hmm.
that's how it's been, portrayed ever since. And so he is basically picking up that code name from the deceased Dr. Erskine. So I do agree with you. I think that's the way it'll shake out. I think that's the way it should shake out. But I'm hoping at some point somebody will just make that very abundantly clear.
Yep. All right. You know what else is clear abundantly, Bob, is that we've got another episode coming next week, as we do every Wednesday. And we're going to be going in the Wayback Machine, Bob. We're going to 1968 to a Captain America story by Stan the Man Lee and Jack King Kirby. And we're going to cover Captain America 108, where Cap takes on Paste Pot Pete, aka the Trapster.
Well, I'm looking forward to that one. I can't tell me somebody has told me to shut my trapster. So it's the origin of the word, perhaps. But it's always fun to go back to the '60s to really where it all began with some of these Cap stories, and that's as good as any. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Well, as always, Bob, it's been a lot of fun wrapping Cap with you.
It has. See you next week.
All right. He's Bob Lucius. I'm Rick Verbanis, and please rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen. If you're on YouTube right now, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. If you're listening on Apple, give us a 5-star review. If you're on Spotify, leave a comment, or we love to see you in the Facebook group. And as always, we thank you for listening to another episode of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast.